a practice of the yogi, brahmachari, vanaprastha and sannyasi to bathe at least 3 times daily. Early in the morning, during noon time and at evening. These principles are strictly followed even by some grahasthas, especially brahmanas, who are elevated in the spiritual consciousness. Devahuti was a king's daughter and almost a king's wife also. Although Kardama Muni was not a king by his yogic mystic power, he accommodated Devahuti very comfortably in a nice palace with maidservants and all opulence. But since she had learned austerity even in the presence of her husband, there was no difficulty for her to be austere. Still, because her body underwent severe austerity after the departure of her husband and son, she became thin. To be too fat is not very good for spiritually advanced life. Rather, one should reduce, because if one becomes fat, it is an impediment to progress in spiritual understanding. One should be careful not to eat too much, sleep too much, or remain in a comfortable position. Voluntarily accepting some penances and difficulties, one should take less food and less sleep. These are the procedures for practicing any kind of yoga, whether Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Hatha Yoga. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So after her son Kapila left her, she started practicing Bhakti Yoga intensely, and part of the process is described here that she bathed 3 times daily, and her curling black hair, she became grey, and she performed so much austerities that her body gradually became thin and she wore old garments. So, Prabhupada explains that the austerities, she was already used to austerities even though she lived like a queen. So it was not difficult for her to take up this austerity. And Prabhupada says that the austerity means not to eat too much, sleep too much, or even remain in a comfortable situation. To always look for comfortable situation. Prabhupada includes that also. One should not remain in a comfortable situation. It's a very subtle point. Everybody thinks that I should be comfortable. Everybody wants to be in a comfort zone. In any endeavor, he wants to be in a comfort zone. You want to take austerities. Austerity means to go out of comfort zone. So human life is meant for tapas. Unless our subtle body goes through the tapas, unless the subtle body is taken through tapasya, self-purification is very difficult. Self-purification is essential for self-realization. So self-purification comes by following the do's and don'ts of Bhakti Yoga, Yama and Niyama of Bhakti Yoga. To do what you should do and not to do what you should not do. There are 2 kinds of tapasya. To do what you should do The body and mind may not allow sometimes. That is when tapasya comes. We should use our willpower and do what we are supposed to do. And there are things that you should not do. Your body and mind, the urges of the body and the mind do not allow you to not to do. Your body and mind will push to do. We have to, that is when tapasya comes. To restrain from doing what your senses urge is tapasya. Senses are the mind. Any spiritualist always bears this in mind, that I have to purify my mind. Tapasya can be of different degrees. Nil tapasya, more tapasya, more tapasya. Quantity will be different. But the principle of tapasya, that to take discomfort, to do things which you don't want to do. Take tapasya to do what you should, to not to do what you should not do. Can be taken in doses. For instance, somebody said you chant 16 rounds. Somebody may start with 4 rounds. May say, follow 4 regulated principles. You may say, I cannot give up tea, coffee so easily. Okay, give up at least 3. Like that. It's a very important principle to be preached to, and very important principle for our spiritual development. The principle of tapasya has to be always practiced. It's not easy, but if you do not even know this principle, then it is never done. Every spiritual life also, we will seek comfort. So this is a significant statement of Prabhupada. One should be careful not to eat too much, sleep too much, or remain in a comfortable situation. Suppose you can comfortably not do what you are told not to do. Then choose something else which the scriptures are told not to do, and go to the next level, how to practice that. Or to do. You chant 16 rounds. There is another instruction to chant offenselessly. We have to endeavor not only to chant 16 rounds, but to chant inoffensively. Now, to chant 16 rounds somehow and to chant 16 rounds inoffensively, the gap is a tapasya. So anybody who's, first of all, one should not seek comfort, then he is not a spiritualist. He is not a spiritualist. Every day in life there has to be some kind of a pushing our comfort to little discomfort at least. Little by little. This is completely in contrast to our materialistic tendency to always be in comfort situation. Just like peace of mind. One wants to have peace. Peace is a comfortable situation. But one should learn how to, in service of Krishna, to break the peace also if required. Little, not too much. So, tapasya is a principle, and how much tapasya you take, that has to be very carefully decided so that there is no recoiling, no relapsing. Just like if your biceps have the capacity to lift 10 kilos, to continue to lift 10 kilos is a comfort situation. But if you know the principle tapasya, you know that 10 is comfortable for me. But you will try to lift 10.5. Let's say 10 days you take 10.5 or 10 months you take 10.5. Will your biceps capacity increase? It will increase. That's how the bodybuilders build. It increases. Now there is another way of doing. I should take austerity. Now I am capable of 10 kilos. Let me lift 20 kilos. What will happen to the yantra? Your tendons will break. Muscle tendons will break. So there is a science behind it. Tapasya also we should take. But we should take very intelligently. Then only we can succeed in increasing our capacity for tapasya. These are some of the things that nobody tells anybody. These are things that you have to understand the principles of tapasya from the Bhagavatam, from what you hear, from what the spiritual master has told, and devise and design one's lifestyle in such a way that I not to be comfortable. Comfort is the opposite of tapasya. I don't want to get disturbed. I don't want to change anything. This attitude is not at all spiritual. At the same time, to go to another extreme is also not spiritual. It's not spiritual. So just like eating, sleeping, all these things has to be in regulation, tapasya also has to be in a regulated manner. Regulated means what the scripture says, what my guru says. Every tapasya should be authorized. Simply we cannot introduce whatever we want. I will fast every Monday, I will fast every Tuesday, all these kind of things. We take up tapasyas which is authorized by Srila Prabhupada in our line of Bhakti Yoga. And there are so many things that Prabhupada has told us. He says chant 16 rounds. Now one should not think that Prabhupada wants only 16 rounds. If you can chant, if you have more time, of course 16 rounds and preach, he said. If you have no preaching duties, if you are free suddenly, you chant more. In the initial days, if you see video of Prabhupada, he gave initiation mala and he was not chant minimum 16 rounds, is to say. So that itself was difficult. So the Acharya, he said, at least you do. Prabhupada said 64, everybody got scared. He said, my Guru Maharaj said 64. Then he said, you all chant 16 rounds. So the spiritual master's authorization, what should be the tapasya? What extent also the tapasya should be taken in our life. In different aspects. Tapasya is with respect to body, tapasya is with respect to eating, tapasya with respect to sleeping, tapasya is with respect to so many dimensions of self is there. Everywhere we need to take Little tapasya. That is the trick. And that is exactly what Prabhupada, as an acharya, he taught us. A very practical way of taking this tapasya. So, Mother Devahuti, she was already used to this. Any person from a Vedic culture, man or woman, always incorporated this principle of tapasya in life. Regulated tapasya. Otherwise, we are not a human being. So, as devotees, we should also have tapasya as our goal. Our own ways of the spiritual tapasya as our goal, which Prabhupada has asked, different kinds of tapasya that Prabhupada has asked us. Working hard beyond one's limit in one's service is also, for instance, you might have gone out and met 3 people. Now you will feel comfortable. Oh, I met 3 people. You should tell yourself, let me meet 1/4 person. The mind will say, no, 3 is over. I met 3 contacts, Krishna Katha contacts. Let me go 1 more. So then you teach your mind always, go beyond, comfort zone. What is the result of this? Lot of purification happens. Mind has to be purified. So we should look into ourselves. Have I come into spiritual life and constantly seeking comfort? Constantly seeking comfort. This is a contamination in many devotees. Spiritual life means they feel there should be comfort. Spiritual life means they should be peaceful. Anything they are not peaceful, then that is not spiritual life. Over endeavor is different. Tapasya is different. Over endeavor is just like I said, from 10 kilos you want to lift 20 kilos. Then your muscles will break. But if you remain in 10 kilos, then there is no tapasya. Somebody is at 5 kilos, he need not lift 10 kilos. It will be over endeavor. His system will break. He should go to 5.5, 6 kilos, like that he should go. Complacency, comfort. Comfort means, it is not spiritual life. So deeply, in some devotees' mentality, it is so deeply embedded that any little discomfort, they think it is not spiritual. But actually, discomfort is spiritual. To remain in a little discomfort, not too much discomfort, to remain in a little discomfort is purifying. Is very good for spiritual life. And that too, we should voluntarily accept that, knowing very well that this is purifying. So throughout the day, how our mind is made to do little more than what it can do, to abstain little more than what it is able to abstain now. Is the paradigm that we have to develop in our spiritual lives. Compared to all Prabhupada here says, these are procedures for practicing any kind of yoga, whether Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Hatha Yoga. It is not only in Bhakti Yoga, in all other yogas. But if you see all these modern versions of yoga and modern yoga gurus, many of them, they actually not promoting tapasya, but are not putting this tapasya as a goal in the mind, but again moving them towards comfort, peace. Because there is no other alternative. Why should I lose my peace of mind? Correct? Nobody should. If somebody is not serving Krishna, he should not lose peace of mind. It's not worth it. If somebody is serving Krishna, he can lose his peace of mind. Anxiety, he can take anxiety. So we as Vaishnavas in Bhakti Yoga, we have a reason to be in anxiety, we have a reason to be in fear. We have a reason to take tension. Otherwise, tension, anxiety, freedom, all these things people will say, what kind of yogi are you? Prabhupada used to write letters, he says, your something is giving me blood pressure. If somebody ordinary yogis, they will think, hey, what kind of he's your acharya. He cannot be getting blood pressure. Prabhupada's blood pressure was his ecstasy. Taking blood pressure for preaching Krishna consciousness movement was his ecstasy. Pain is also an ecstasy for a Vaishnava. Because the pleasure of Krishna is what dominates. That is why he takes all this austerity. Pleasure of Guru and Krishna is his motivation. I have to please Prabhupada, I have to please Guru and Krishna. So I don't care whether it is austere for me, not austere for me, I don't care, I will take it. Of course, as I said, within the principle of not over-endeavoring. Over-endeavoring means your physical, your mind-body systems capacity when you break, then that is over-endeavor. If you allow your mind and body system, it has got the natural capacity to grow from 5 kilos to 5.5 kilos, it has got. But you cannot jump from 5 kilo to 10 kilos. Finally 5 also you will not be able to lift because the entire muscle is broken. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Madam. How do we draw the line between austerity and over-endeavor? Where to draw the line?
No, austerity, if you are taking little more than your comfort, that is good. If you are taking so much that you are not able to chant your rounds, so much your mind is disturbed, you are not able to chant your rounds in the morning, that is over-endeavor. You are not able to follow whatever Prabhupada said, sadhana, you are taking over-endeavor somewhere else, in something, then that is over-endeavor. On a daily basis, in an emergency, not that there may not be time, just like a house is on fire. You have to do something. Your normal duties also you may suspend. So in the same way, sometimes in big festivals and all these things, some rounds may be left. You should not say, no, it's an over endeavor. Right? 365 days you have chanted 16 rounds. One day you didn't chant, if you use a philosophy of over endeavor, so much of work was there for this festival, I could not chant 2-3 rounds. Then it's called niyamagraha, rule for the sake of rule. Do what is necessary, and tomorrow, next day, you finish your rounds. So, over endeavor is a lifestyle. It's not one day's thing. You should not have a lifestyle of over endeavor. Every day you are not able to finish 2 rounds, 5 rounds. That is over endeavor. Your system is not capable of handling it. If one day you cannot handle, it's all right. There are adjustments, you can do it.
Prabhu, I have one more question. Like, how do we successfully perform the austerities? Sometimes we
How do we?
Successfully complete austerities. Like, we try to make attempt, and sometimes we fail. So how do we?
How do we successfully in austerities? In performing austerities, you have to take baby steps. That's exactly the principle of quantity of austerity. Take baby steps. You take little steps. Just like if somebody says, I am taking 2 cups of tea every day or coffee. We tell them, what do we tell them? Reduce 1. That's a baby step. If you tell him to give 2, he may not be able to succeed. Do 1, decrease 1. So the quantity of tapasya should be designed in such a way that I can do it. And then I can next, after having do it, after feeling a sense of success, confidence, then you take next. Your yantra, your mind-body system has to have that strength, subtle strength. So you need to feel a sense of success. Okay, I have succeeded. Now let me take little more. So in designing the dosage of austerity is the answer to your correct dose you should design. That only you will know. Nobody else can say.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Once in your lecture you have told regarding tapasya taking pleasure in pain. So now little pain I have to take, and it is discomfortable for me, but how to take pleasure in that? So you mean that there is a possibility that we can take pleasure in pain?
No, you take pleasure, because my taking pain, as per the instructions of Prabhupada, gives pleasure to Prabhupada. So my goal of life is to enjoy pleasure of giving pleasure to Prabhupada and Krishna. So not that I take pleasure in that pain itself. Pain is pain. In that pain I cannot take pleasure. You take a higher pleasure in the pain. If I have bodily pain, right, then for instance, people who do tapasya, there are multiple levels of self, bodily self, mental self, intellectual self, etc., ego self, like that. Higher self is the lower self. You subject your lower self to a tapasya to give pleasure to higher self. Like that, if you go, the highest pleasure is the pleasure of the soul. And what is the pleasure of the soul? What is the pleasure of the soul? Yeah, love of Krishna is the pleasure of the soul. Love means, for the object of love, you act for the pleasure of the object of love. In our case, at different levels. Now, Prabhupada says chant 16 rounds. It gives him, to please him, you chant 16 rounds. So it gives him pleasure. You are his disciple, you have to be obedient. I have given commitment, I will follow this. it gives Prabhupada pleasure. How it gives Prabhupada pleasure if you chant 16 rounds? Because Prabhupada has a desire. Once he has initiated you, he has a desire that my disciple chant 16 rounds. Now you obey that. Prabhupada will be very happy. He is an obedient disciple. I am happy with him. So giving pleasure is the standard of pleasure for the soul. Tapasya also has the same principle. Because you know that I am in a human form of life, purification and progress happens by tapasya. This is an intellectual body's satisfaction. So when you take tapasya, at the bodily level it may be painful, but at the intellectual level you are saying, yes, I took tapasya. This was self-purification.
And what about the flat pleasure you told once? Means I'm not looking for any credit, but if something comes automatically, you told you used a term called flat pleasure.
Yes.
So what is
the means that the basic sense pleasure. You put one rasgulla on your tongue, you cannot say it is not sweet, right? That sweet sensation, even if you don't concoct, there is a sweetness. So the pleasure of the senses itself with the sense objects, without mental concoction, is a basic pleasure, is a relative reality. Then our mind amplifies it in so many ways. Like you are starving, for instance, you are very, very, very hungry, you are starving, and suddenly one rasgulla, that rasgulla will be 100 times sweeter than, suppose every day you are eating. Or even if you take one rasgulla, it will be sweeter than if you take 10 rasgullas one at a time, one after the other. The 10th rasgulla, second rasgulla will be less sweet, third will be less sweeter, like that. So mind's relativity is working there, relative measurement. It depends on supply and demand. Mind's amplification depends on supply and demand. If something is in plenty, then flat pleasure will plateau. If something is in shortage and you get it, then mind will amplify it. So the flat pleasure you cannot avoid. There is nothing wrong in it. That is exactly what, for existence, any sense pleasure is not considered sense gratification. This is very important. We are not against sense gratification. We are as personalists. Senses do taste. What we are against is crossing the limit. Eating too much. Eating itself is not a sin. Eating tasty food is not a sin. You don't get karma for that. You need eat more than your needs. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.